Hi guys, good morning. I hope you are able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is Bhaskar. I have a 14 plus years of IT experience. I started my career with Microsoft Business Intelligence, and later I got an opportunity to work for Microsoft. I was there for Microsoft more 8 years, and I adopted new technologies like Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and Microsoft Power BI. And yeah, so there's different new technologies that I adopted when I was with Microsoft, and later I started working for other companies also. So now currently I'm working as a senior data engineer for one of the Indian based company, and this is briefly about me. So let me share my screen and what we are going to discuss. Let's say, for example, if you wanted to become as a data engineer professional, or as part of Azure data engineering services, how we are going to make a professional. And there are various services are there, and Microsoft even started a new service, they're branding Microsoft Fabric. So going forward later, at least 1 or 2 years, we are going to migrate completely from individual services to Microsoft Fabric towards very soon. In 1 or 2 years, that is going to be happen. But still, we are going to have a more and more demanding as a individual services also. So I'm going to take you through as part of this session how exactly we can become as a data engineer that we are going to see. And this particular course was designed based on my experience. And I work for most of the data engineering services that is frequently required for any organization. So that I'm going to take you through. So let me share my screen. Able to see my screen? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if you wanted to become as a data engineering professional, there are few services, mandatory services are required. As a data engineer, you are going to do what you are going to do is you are going to do the processing. So data processing, you are going to do it. I'm just giving some brief idea, then I'm going to take you through this content of the course. So I'm saying as a data engineer, we are going to do the data processing. So in order to do the data processing, then definitely we required two set of services we required. One is storage services, we need to know about it, and processing. These two activities we are going to do extensively as part of data engineering. For storages, what services are there? For processing, what services are there is very important. We are going to spend 10% of the time with the storage, and rest of the 90% of the time we are going to spend with the processing only. So as we are data engineers, we are going to provide the solution for the big data. So you know about a big data, right? I'm just giving a brief idea about it. Big data means a data that cannot be processed with your system. So the data may be even MBs also. Let's say if you take a Gmail, we cannot attach more than 25 MB. In that particular case, we can say 25 MB is a big data. So you may think that 100 TB big data. Okay, so it's not like that. If your system is not capable enough to process the data, or if your system is not capable enough to store the data, then that kind of data we can call it as a big data. So we are going to provide the solution for the big data. So Microsoft is providing the various services to provide a solution for the big data. So before Microsoft Azure also, we have a various services like maybe you're aware of Hadoop to provide solution, right? So there are many limitations are there as part of the Hadoop. Because of that reason, Microsoft brought varieties of the services, and Microsoft is concentrated more and more data processing. And if you take a AWS, they concentrated more on the infrastructure side. They don't have a strong services to process the data. But when it comes to the Microsoft, we have a very strong services in data processing. So because of that reason, we have a more and more openings when you compare with others in the data engineering processing jobs. So if you have a 20 jobs, out of 20, we are going to have a 15 data engineering, data processing jobs, I'm saying. When you take any project which is data processing, then 15 is going to be data engineering jobs will be there. So rest of them will be DevOps team, rest of them will be admin teams. So in order to set up the environments, so like that we are going to have, and for two data analysts, something like that, we can have it. So comparatively, data engineering professionals or data engineering positions are more and more. And this was treated previously as ETL developers. ETL developers are known as your data engineers only. There is no much differences. Only thing is that was a traditional terminology and they were used traditional technologies. Even from Microsoft, there is a SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services. I work with that as a ETL developer. Okay, so in the same way, data engineer also is going to do the same thing. But there is a slight difference, ELT and ETL. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do this ELT processing. Extraction, loading, and transformation. So at higher level, I wanted to say, as a data engineer, we are going to extract the data from the various data sources and we are going to process it. We are going to process. So once you process the data, we are responsible to provide the data for the reporting team. We are responsible to provide the data to the data scientists, and whoever is there in the downstream, all the people are going to bring the data from your system only. So because of that reason, data engineer is a very crucial role in the market in the present situation. Okay, so I hope you are with me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say what we are going to do with the Azure data engineering. Okay, so that is the main. And if you want to become as a data engineer, then we need to know about these services. As I said, 90% of the time we are going to spend with the data processing. When you're spending 90% of the time, then what services are there? Azure Data Factory is one of the major service as part of Azure Data Engineering. And Azure Databricks is also more major service that I feel. If you ask me which one is high priority, if you give, I give to Databricks because this is very much stronger. So there are many changes happened is because of the Databricks. Of course, previously that was Apache Spark. So on top of Apache Spark, we have a Databricks. Okay, so I'm also going to take you through how we can work with Apache Spark also. But most of the trainers are not going to explain about this Apache Spark when you go for Azure Data Engineering training. But I'm going to show you. This is the origin of your Databricks. So Azure Databricks is one of the major service that we need to concentrate it more and more. And this particular service is going to be used for three different purposes. One is data ingestion. Most of the data engineering projects, we are going to do the data ingestion with the data factory. And then we are also going to do the data transformation. If you wanted to do a data transformation, that is going to be possible with the help of a data factory. But market is not ready to use it. Market is not ready to use it. There are many limitations I feel at the time of working. You may go for without writing code. This data factory is completely no code. But still, I feel data ingestion, I'm sure we are going to use very, very frequently. But data transformation, I feel it is little slow. Because of that reason, Microsoft came with the Microsoft Fabric. Okay, so I'll give that brief idea about it. And the third thing that we are going to do with the ADF is data orchestration. So data orchestration also people used to do with the data factory very, very, very frequently. So we are going to see all three together as part of the data factory. And then, as I said, when market is not ready to use this data transformation with the data factory, then what is the alternative solution for it? The alternative solution for is Databricks. Azure Databricks, we are going to use the medallion architecture. We are going to talk about it. I'm just giving heads up. We are going to have a bronze, silver, and gold. So we are going to have a different layers. We are going to see this as part of the project where we are going to spend 20 days with the project itself. I'm going to make you to do it. So you can feel how simple it is and how we are going to have it as equivalent to real-time project. And then the next service, the very important is like when you go for Databricks, to understand Databricks or to understand this data factory, and in simply, I wanted to say the prerequisites of this. The third service, before going to that, let me give the third service also. Now, presently market is branding, especially Microsoft is branding a Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric. So they brought all together. They don't want to have a separate ADF. They don't want to have a separate Azure Databricks. So they don't want to have a many things as a separate individual services. And Microsoft is also having a sign-ups. It was a failed piece, so it is going to be deprecated very soon from the market. They already announced. And we are going to have a Microsoft Fabric going forward. Even if you say DP 203 is going to be ending on this month end. So after 31st of March, there will be no more DP 203. Equivalent of DP 203, we have a DP 700. We are going to write the DP 700 certification. And we are going to be treated as a, instead of saying Azure Data Engineer, we are going to say Fabric Data Engineer. Okay, so it takes some time, at least 2 to 3 years it will take, because we cannot go for immediately transition for existed process. And if there is any brand new projects, if you are going to get any brand new project, then definitely they're going to choose Microsoft Fabric, because Microsoft is going to give they're just doing a business, right? So they're going to give a less cost also, so that they can avoid migration. But if you're already having a project in ADF, if they're already having a stuff in signups, we have to migrate into Microsoft Fabric. Okay, so this is the overall story of data processing services. And I wanted to take you through the content of the course. Then I'm just going to take a questions, how exactly we can become as a data engineer. If you have any question, anything that you can ask me. So initially, to understand for data engineer, irrespective of data engineer or irrespective of Microsoft administrator, anyone, basics are important. Basics are important. So what is a cloud, or why we need to go for cloud? Okay, so what we are going to do, especially for data engineering side, what is required? So that we are going to say the basics is going to be talking a DP 900. So DP 900 certification, this is no expiry for this. Once you have taken, no expiry. But when you go for DP 700, every 1 year you have to renew it. Every year you have to renew.
Please come again, sir. What DP 900?
Yeah, so DP 900 is a basics. If you want to become as a data engineer, you need to have basic idea about what is the data, where we can store the data, what is the OLTP system. Okay, so what kind of file formats are there? Like we have a ORC file formats, Parquet file formats. Okay, so CSV files and varieties of the databases. So why we are having, so those things we are going to discuss as part of the DP 900. So that means that are going to be basics. And how we can create a Azure subscription and how we can create a resources. There are few admin stuff also I'm going to cover, which is not required for data engineer. Let's say, for example, setting up all the resources is not our job in reality. So that will be taken care by administrator, but to set up our own environment by ourselves for practicing, we need to have a some knowledge on administration also, but keep in mind, we are not going to be administrators. We are purely data engineers. So in the initial stage, I'm going to talk about it, and then I have a storages also. I'm going to talk about the storage platforms, as I said. And once I completed this DP900, then we are going to start talking about a data factory, ADF. This is very, very, very important for data ingestion and how exactly you are going to handle when there is a massive volume of data, especially for data ingestion. As we are going to do the data transformation with Databricks, you can have a look on data transformation with the data flow as well, because as part of the fabric, we are going to do data transformation either in both the ways we can do it, either with the data flow or we can also go with the notebook. So what is a data factory? I'm going to talk about it. Here we are calling it as a data factory. In Fabric, the same thing that we are going to say a data pipeline. We are going to call, there is a component called data pipeline as part of the Databricks, as part of the Microsoft Fabric. So if you understand this, then understanding the Fabric is going to be very, very much simpler. So I'm going to make you to understand what are the building blocks of data factory and how we are going to start doing the development. So when there is any requirement, how exactly you are going to start? Forget about anything. When someone gives works to you, you have to understand what it is. Okay, so you have to identify what data sources. Since we are going to deal with the data, we're always going to say where is our data? Where is our data? Where is data? We need to understand. And how is the data? How data is there? And what tables are required? In general, I'm saying what tables are required and what columns are required. And also like key columns, do we need to go for incremental loading? Do we need to go for full loading? Do we need to go for SCD types? So all those things that we are going to do before doing the development. So that we used to call it as a data discovery. We have to discover the data. So this is very, very important. So that I'm going to take you through as part of our journey, how exactly we are going to start doing the development when someone is giving a activity. So if something is not clear, how we are going to talk with the business analyst to get the business requirement. So those things I'm going to talk, and then we are going to start doing the development. When I go for development, what activities are there here? So we have a copy data activity, we have a variable activity, and what is the purpose of it? Guys, keep in mind how we are going to create a data-driven pipelines. Data-driven pipelines. So this is very, very important. We have to control from outside. If we have too many pipelines, then run and maintenance is going to be very difficult. We have to reduce the pipelines as less as possible. We have to create a framework. So framework means we are going to reuse it. If you have a framework, you can reuse the code. So how exactly that we can design that we are going to see as part of our data factory. I have a various activities here, copy data activity, variable activity, and get metadata activity. How can we read incremental loading of the files? Every day I'm getting a files, but I wanted to read only latest files. How we can do it? I wanted to read only latest data. I have a many tasks are there, and I wanted to know if failure is going to be happen, right? So failure is going to be happen in many places. When the failure is happened, how do I know which activity has failed? Which activity has failed? That means exception handling. How did you do exception handling? If you can do with me, I'm sure no one will explain the way I explained about exception handling. So most of the people will say they will just take one set variable activity, again one more set variable activity, and they will explain. But I'm going to show you this exception handling with the incremental loading with the dynamic pipeline. So that we are going to say, so that you can clearly give the answer about how you handle exception. Then we have a various activities again here, like filter activity, lookup activity, each and every activity that we are going to discuss. Just go through this content. I already said this details as part of the meeting you're having. You can just have a look on it. And execute pipeline activity, what is the purpose of it? And stored procedure activity, basically, we are not going to write a stored procedures to process the data. Stored procedures, we are not going to use to process the data. So to process the data, we are going to use the data bricks. So then why we have a stored procedure here? Because we need to handle the log. Because we need to update the control tables. So in order to do that, we require stored procedure. So for just doing controlling metadata, we are going to use the stored procedure as a data engineer. So that we are going to say. And you can see there is a data flow activity, which is going to be used to do the data transformation, as I said, but market is not much interested to use this. Still, if there is any person who is having a less volume of data, if they are interested to go with the data flow, if the Microsoft provided much more features for them in terms of building, so then they may go for data flow, or they may go for using data flow to transform it. So if that is the case, then how we are going to do it? So that will be helpful if I explain this. And the next is very, very, very important. As a data engineer, we have to understand how we are going to collaborate your work items. We are going to work as a team, not an individual. When you're working all together, then how exactly we are going to share the work items? So in order to share our work items, in order to collaborate the code, we need to go with the code repository. So I'm going to talk about it, how we can set up the repository and how we can integrate with the data factory. We're going to see that, and we're also going to see how we can create a working branch and what is a working branch and what is a collaboration branch that we are going to see. And apart from this, once you have done your development, then you have to do the unit testing. Unit testing means, is that working as expected as per the business requirement or not? So that is what the unit testing we are going to say throughout the sessions. On regular basis, we are going to see how we can test our use cases. I'm sure I'm going to have a more than 150 different use cases we are going to come across. I'm just giving a rough estimate, but I feel there will be more than 200. We are going to see that. And how exactly we are going to create a PR. So what is a PR? Maybe if you are not aware of, or if you are not working, if you are not having an experience, you may not be aware of it. So PR means pull request. How we are going to create a pull request? How we can compare the code with current item and the previous item when there is a changes or expecting for existed job. So that we are going to see. And we're also going to say, as part of this, I'm going to talk about CI/CD pipeline. So that no one can explain, they're just going to give a brief explanation about it. But I'm sure we are going to see practically how we can create a DevOps pipeline to move the code from lower environment to higher environment. So that is very important. I'm sure you're not going to work as a DevOps roles. I mean, you're not going to create any DevOps pipeline to move the code, but in the interview, they're going to ask. If you can give the answer, they can easily feel like, you can also work with that. If you're having a less members in the team, then we can have a hand on this place also. So I'm going to take you through how we are going to handle. This is completely end to end, and then we're going to see one ADF project with ADF alone. So where we are going to have a data ingestion and plus data transformation, we're going to see. I'm going to have I'll give the requirement, what transformations we need to do it. Everything is documented. I'll give a document and I'll make you to do it. So this is about a data factory. And then I'll take a questions, guys, at the end. Then there is a one more very important service that I just said. We're going to have a Databricks. So this is same as Microsoft Fabric notebook also. Okay, so there will be no much differences, very slight differences that you can feel. So that we are going to cover as part of the Fabric so that you can have a full control on the Fabric side also. Okay, so as part of this notebook, we are going to write a PySpark style of the code. Okay, so what is a Spark first? Spark is a computing framework. So on top of the Spark, we have a Databricks. We have a ADF, especially data flow, I'm saying. And we have a Fabric. We have a many things from AWS Glue. Correct me if naming standard is different. So like this, there are many things are there. Okay, so many are available here. From GCP also, they are trying to keep one product for providing a solution. So all are doing their own product by using this Spark. So Spark is an open source. You also can take and I can create my Bhaskar framework or something like that. So in order to understand this Databricks, in order to understand this PySpark, you required Python basics. So the prerequisites I'm just saying here to learn or to understand. One is Python basics are required. We are not going to be Python developers, keep in mind. We are going to be data engineers. Okay, so basics are enough. And SQL basics are little advanced is required. Especially when you have a multiple tables, how exactly we can join with multiple tables and how we can create a CTEs, common table expressions, and subqueries. When we can go for CTEs and when we can go for subqueries, and window functions, very, very important. So window functions is having two things, like ranking functions are there, and we have a aggregate functions are there, and we have a analytical functions also is there. Okay, so how can you choose the ranking? How can you choose the ranking that we're going to discuss as part of our, in all the places. In SQL, we are going to see these functions, and we are going to see in the PySpark, and even in the ADF also. Okay, so that you'll get better clarity about it. So here I wanted to say we are going to talk about the Python basics, like Python introduction, creating community edition notebook, variables, data types, type conversion, collection data types, list, tuple, set. All these are the basics. These things I'm going to show you in the Databricks Community Edition. We are going to see that. And then PySpark, I'm going to show in two environments. With Databricks, I'm going to show you. With original Apache PySpark also, I'm going to show you. Apache PySpark. Okay, or Apache Spark, it is basically. So that we are going to say with a Linux operating system. Okay, so the PySpark introduction here. This is common for all the places, even if you go for Fabric or if you go for Apache Spark. The basics are very much common. So I'm going to talk about a distributed file system and why we need to come out of the Hadoop when there was already Hadoop. Why we need to come out of it. So that we are going to talk. And most of the projects are migrating towards to the Hadoop framework to Spark framework. And then the Databricks introduction is going to be started here, and how we can create a Databricks and what different types of clusters are available. So that is an interview question. And what is the size that you are using for your cluster? And what size of the data you're using? Okay, so that we are going to discuss as part of it. Most of the times we are not going to manage the cluster in general as a data engineer, but We need to have a clear picture on it. If you're increasing your experience, then we need to set up it. We need to reduce the cost. As a data engineer, we need to reduce the cost. Only we are thinking about data processing side, the person who is having little more experience in the data processing, they will expect this also. By utilizing the right cluster, right size, right time is going to reduce the cost. So that we are going to discuss here. Then we are going to talk about the DBFS, Databricks file system. This Databricks file system is going to deal with the file system. And here, in place of the Databricks file system, we are going to use the ADLS, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We are going to use. So how exactly we are going to connect with that, we are going to see. And when it comes to the Fabric, in place of this, we have a MS utils. MS utils will be used to handle the file system. Here we have a Databricks utils. There we have a MS utils because they have their own solution now. So they don't want to depend on the Microsoft. They don't want to depend with the Databricks. So I'll give a clarity at the time of Fabric so that you'll get better idea. And we are going to talk about RDD API in order to do the data transformation in the Databricks. Or when I say Databricks, keep in mind that is a PySpark or Spark. So we have a two different approaches to do the data transformation. One is RDD API, and we have a data frame API. So this is a traditional one, but I'm going to take you through when we can go for RDD API. I'm going to talk about it. If you have any legacy applications, they will be having RDD only. If they're migrating from RDD API to data frame API, then you should understand this. Then only can easily migrate it. Otherwise, there should be someone else to explain the context. That is one thing. And when you're processing unstructured data, then RDD is required. So when you're processing the log data or when you're processing messages, it's a unstructured data, right? Or if you have a feedback, if you are processing feedback data, then you can use RDD to process it. You cannot do with the data frame. So data frame is specifically designed for structure. Okay, so it is very, very simple. You feel this is like a SQL. Okay, so I'm going to make you much more comfortable with the data frame API to transform the data as per the business requirement, and how we can reuse the code, how we can call a notebook from one notebook to another notebook that we're going to see. As part of the RDD, we have a varieties of the transformations, map transformations, filter transformations. I have given a clear, detailed content as part of the RDD also. Even still, we don't need to concentrate more on this, but I feel there may be some chances to use it. In my current project, we are using the RDD also when I'm reading the data from the control table. Okay, so I'm converting from data frame to RDD, and then we are taking the fee values, and then again we are assigning those values to the variables. So in that case, I went for RDD. So set operations, how we can do it, and join transformations, how exactly we're having, and what was the different. Basically, doing a joins with RDD is not much useful for us when you compare with data frame. So data frame is going to have a much more features. And how exactly we are going to how exactly we are going to use the actions, and how we can make a structure on top of unstructured data. If you have a unstructured data, see, business users are always going to understand report only. They understand report only. So how can we create a report? Report will be created on top of the structured data, not unstructured data. You're getting my point. So reporting team is required structured data. Who is going to give a structured data to them? We are responsible. As a data engineer, we are responsible to give the data to them. You may have unstructured data, but you need to make that structure. So that how we are going to do it with RDD, we are going to see. And there are few things, other utility functions are there apart from the functions. how exactly we can improve the performance. Basically, if we go for RDD, you are responsible to improve the performance. But if you go for data frame API, many things are there inbuilt, but still you can also do from our side. So that we are going to see, and I have given some use cases as part of this RDD, how we can apply aggregations here. And once that is done, then we are going to start talking about data frame API. This is very, very, very important. So big data means, do not think that there is only unstructured data. There is a massive volume of structured data also. Okay, so all traditional ETL projects are migrating towards to the cloud platforms. Then they're going to use this Databricks to process the data. So there are varieties of the files you're going to handle: CSV, JSON, Parquet, ORC, text file, table. Okay, so how we are going to create a data frame. So different ways I'm going to show you. And how we can select it, or filtering, how we can filter, or how we can take the required columns that we're going to see as part of it. I've given a complete detailed content here. We're going to see each and everything. And I'm going to give something to you also. So how we can apply data merging and appending, that we're going to see. I already told you, window functions are very, very important for data processing, that we're going to see that. And here also we are going to have actions, and once you have done the transformation, then you're going to write the data to somewhere. So that may be ADLS, that may be a Delta Lake. So Delta Lake, data lake, there is a difference. So your ADLS is a data lake. I can make this data lake as a Delta Lake by using Databricks. So when you create a Delta tables, we are going to see what is a Delta table and how can you say that is a Delta table. Why Delta Lake is very faster? Why Delta Lake is very faster when you compare with the data lake? So those things we are going to discuss as part of our regular sessions. So Delta Lake we are calling as a Delta Lake in Databricks, the same thing that we are going to call in the data, in the Fabric, that is Lakehouse. So Lakehouse is also same as your Delta Lake. We are going to see that as part of the Fabric, we are going to come across it. And there are a few more functions, other functions I just kept it here that we're going to see. And then aggregate functions are there. Especially, this is very important. They used to ask what modules you have used as part of the PySpark. So as part of the PySpark, we are going to use the few modules. So one of them is Spark SQL. Okay, so Spark SQL we are going to use, and it is very, very important, which is going to handle the data. Data frame API is different. Data frame API, and there is a slight difference between them. As part of the data frame API, we are going to use this library in order to transform the data. So how exactly we are going to use, and we're also going to say two more libraries as part of our Databricks. I just kept here completely Spark SQL, or I just wanted to say SQL API, PySpark SQL API. We have aggregate functions, string functions, date and time functions. When you have a data, you will be having a text data, you'll be having a numbers, you'll be having a date. How exactly you're going to handle that we are going to see. And window functions, array and map functions. And if you have a collection of data, then how you're going to split that we are going to see. Null handling also we are going to see. How we can handle the nulls. So recently I faced one interview question, even I'm trying to migrate from my current company. So they asked me one of the interview questions that I'll share with you. How many people are going to give the answer for that? And there are many people my students are attempting, and I have too many questions with me with company wise. I collected questions based on the company wise. So I'm going to talk about it as part of the interview preparation. So I'm also going to take you through the interview preparation based on the company wise. And a real-time project we are going to say with the Databricks. So when I'm going to take the project here, it is end-to-end with ADF plus ADB. When I'm talking about project in the Databricks, that is the combination of these two. So I'm going to take the data from MySQL for project. I'm going to take the data from on-prem file system. I'm also going to take the data from SQL Server. I'm going to take the data from API. I'm going to take the data from Oracle. So varieties of the system I'm going to use for data ingestion. So this I'm going to walk you through as part of the project. So this project, I'm going to spend the 20 days with only project. So that means 20 hours. 20 hours we are going to spend with that. And I'm going to make sure to do it everyone. I mean, if you can follow with me, then only can do it. I'm sure about it. If you do the practice on the same day, so daily 1 hour session we are going to have Monday to Saturday. So total 6 hours per week. And the entire duration we are going to have a 3 months. If you can spend 2 hours additionally for practicing, total 3 hours if you spend, then definitely you can easily crack the interview. And you can easily survive. And you can keep the experience 3 to 5 years of data engineering experience. So I'll help you how you can prepare the profile, depends on your size of the experience. So this is about Databricks. Now I'm just giving some content as part of the Fabric, but whatever you have done in the data factory and whatever you have done with the Databricks, the same thing, try to do it with Fabric. So that is simple, as simple as that. Whatever you have done in the ADF and whatever you have done in the ADB, just try to do it in the Microsoft Fabric, and you will be very, very much stronger. There are few things which are very new, so that you are not going to be aware of it. Those things I'm going to help you to understand how we can create a lakehouse and what is the purpose of lakehouse. And as I said, lakehouse is going to have a file system only. As I said, data lake or Delta Lake is file system. Basically, it is a file system only. Even if you go for lakehouse, that is a file system only. But even if I have a data in employee.csv, I'm just taking an example, I can write a SQL code also on top of it. Basically, we cannot write it, but Microsoft is providing the feasibility. Your Delta Lake is providing the feasibility to write the select statement. We are going to see that. So how simple it is and how easy it is, we're going to talk about it. And then, as I said, so Microsoft Fabric with the data factory, and we used to call it as a data pipeline here. So I'm just giving whatever the necessary things that I have given here. But as I said, from the data factory to here, you can bring it. We have a same to same activities. Whatever you're doing with the data factory, the same thing that we can do with the Microsoft Fabric. And then I'm going to talk about the one leg. So one leg is the umbrella where we are going to have a data factory, where we are going to have a Databricks, lakehouse, data warehouse, Microsoft Power BI stuff. Everything together is going to be there as part of one leg. And sign-offs data engineering. Now we are calling as a data engineer. They renamed it as a data engineering. Okay, so you can see that here you can see the notebooks. Whatever we have done with the ADB can be done with this area. Okay, so how exactly we can do it? How we can create a notebooks? How we can do the data transformation? So that we are going to see. And also, I'm also going to cover about data governance. Okay, so data governance that we are going to see as part of Microsoft Fabric. So that will be helpful. Of course, you are not going to do all this stuff. That is purely related to administrators, but I'm just going to walk you through that. Okay, so for this one, as I said, Python basics is a prerequisite and SQL also is a prerequisite. But to understand, to take a training, we don't need all of them. To take a training, we don't need any basics. Okay, so I'm going to take you through. You don't need to take a training outside for the basics or prerequisites. All the prerequisites I'm going to take for interview point of view. So here I'm going to talk about the data definition language. Why we need to have a DDL is because we are going to create a delta tables. In the Databricks and Fabric, we are going to create a delta tables. To create a delta tables, we should know about minimum knowledge with the DDL. So that will help you. And data manipulation also we are going to do. If you want to create a data-driven pipelines, then we need to manipulate the data also. We are not going to touch the actual data, but there are some metadata tables we are going to use as part of our data engineering life. So we need to know about the DML. So I just included the DML also. And DQL also is very, very important. And we're going to spend the time here. This is very, very important. I feel if a data source is a database, always recommended to write a SQL code. Data factory says no coding, but if your source is database, then recommended to write a code. So if you wanted to implement incremental loading, you have to write a SQL code. So that is dynamically, I'm going to show you how we can create a dynamic SQL code in the data factory. We are going to see that. So for that reason, we need to know about this. And here you can see functions. So few functions you can fill in the PySpark. There are similar functions. So when I explain one function here, the same function when I explain in the PySpark or in the data factory, you have to adapt it. Okay, so those things are, you can feel like if you take a function called concat. So concat is available in SQL Server. Concat is available in PySpark. Concat is available in Data Factory. Concat is available in Fabric. So if you know at one place, understanding other places is very, very simple. So I'm going to make you to understand and how we can write a SQL code if there is a complex. So that I'm going to take you through as part of this. And this is very important, advanced SQL, like how we can join the tables. If you have a multiple tables, then how we can do it. So is subquery better or CTE better? How can you say that? And what is the temp tables and temporary temp tables, global temporary tables and local temporary tables, and inline views, stored procedure, temp tables, performance tuning. So all those things that I'm going to take you through as part of the prerequisite. This is not part of the course, basically, this SQL, and SQL is not part of the, I just taken out from the regular content. So this will be taken in a different time and different place. Okay, so that means whatever the days we are going to spend with the SQL is not part of the 3 months. So that is what I mean to say here. Okay, so because some people may be interested to have a SQL and some people may not be have interested because they may have some experience with the SQL. They will feel bored. So because of that reason, I have taken out from the regular content. So SQL Server for Master Azure Data Engineering. Okay, so these things are required and the prerequisites for starting this course, apart from the technologies. Definitely system is required, guys. If you don't have a system, you just simply, you can drop. So system is required. And because I have seen some people, they used to join with the mobile. I used to explain, I used to take many batches. And when I asked them, can you share the screen? When they faced some issue, they're trying to explain about the issue. When I asked them, can you share your screen and show me what issue you are facing? Then they may join with the mobile. So that's not going to help. So be serious for 3 months. So because of that reason, I'm requesting join with the system. That is one thing. And if you're traveling for some reason, 1 or 2 times exceptional, you can do it, but practice, you have to do it. And the second one is installation stuff. like before that, you need to have a credit card. So credit card is required for Azure subscription. Azure subscription is required, and Storage Explorer you have to install in your system. SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, SSMS installation, and Data Studio. 9 is integration runtime. So these are all the prerequisites in your system. So we may not use all of them at one shot. Okay, so I'm just saying your system availability. Okay, so if you have that, then it's easy for practicing. Okay, so and rest of them like ADF, ADB, all these things are cloud only. We're going to have them in the cloud. So we don't need to worry about it. If it is completely related to cloud, then we don't need to worry about it. So that is one thing I wanted to say, and I'm going to make you help to install and set up in every one individual systems. Okay, so if SQL Server is not getting installed because that supports only for Windows operating system. So because of that reason, I'm requesting to install MySQL, Oracle, so that you can have a practice here and there. Okay, and the regular sessions is going to be happened at 8 a.m. IST to 9 a.m. IST. So weekdays, Monday to Saturday. Okay, so when I say weekdays, you feel maybe something like Monday to Friday, but it is Monday to Saturday. So daily 6 hours we're going to spend. I mean, every week 6 hours. Okay, and we're also going to have a Sunday, but Sunday is a review session. If you're interested to join, you can join. I recommend you to join at least in mobile. So review of your work items. If you're not able to join, you can join at least in mobile. So I wanted to review how you people are doing practice. So I'm going to give some tasks. We are going to talk a chit chat as part of this Sunday. I'm not going to explain any technical stuff. If you have a doubt, I'm going to clarify the doubt. So that is one thing I wanted to take you through as part of the Sunday. So this is going to be happen regularly. Okay, so it's optional, but I recommend you to join everyone. Okay, if you ask me, I'll say that. And somewhere we're also going to have a like with a different time. I'm going to start after 1 month. After 1 month, I'm going to start interview preparation sessions. This is not regular, at least weekly 2 times, weekly 2 hours we'll spend on it, so that I'm going to make sure you people are going to be aligned for interview preparation. Okay, so this is what it is. And if you're preparing for certification DP 700 or DP 900, I'm going to give the dumps also. You can prepare and you can write it. But again, I'm saying clearly, if you have a certification, it doesn't mean that you are very expert. No. So this is purely related to Microsoft business. Okay, so if you write a certification, they're going to get around 8,000 if you go for DP 900, DP 700. 8,000 is there almost. So like this, if there are more people are writing, Microsoft will get revenue. So what Microsoft is demanding for companies is they're going to ask the companies, if you have there will be categorized like gold, silver. Okay, so something like that, bronze. So some number of certifications. they're going to say, if you have 100 certifications, 100 professionals from your company, then I'll give a 10% as discount. Then what our companies will do? They will ask us to complete the certification. So this kind of things will be there. It's all internal things. And so for that reason, we have to write the certifications. Having certification is fine, but it doesn't mean that we are going to work. So working is different, certification is different completely. So you can feel that when you go for working. So I'm going to concentrate more on working and less on certification. So if you want to clear this certification, you can go through these dumps and you can do it. Okay. So my training is completely purely working professional training. That's all about it from my side. And now it's a time to take a questions. If you have a questions, I'll take the questions.
Yeah, Bhaskar, I have a couple of questions. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the first question, would you record the classes every day?
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, no, good point. I'm going to give the recording access for 1 year, guys. So that is more and more enough. So we can go through multiple times, and like right after 1 year, there will be many changes are going to be happen. So because of that reason, we are giving for 1 year access. So later, by the time you don't read it, I'm going to make much more comfortable with navigations. So since it is a tools, we required recording. So by default, you're going to get the recording access.
Okay. And is it going to be a live interaction classes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself. Okay, so once the topic is completed, then we can ask a questions about that particular topic. So we're all here to talk, and you can even we have a group, WhatsApp group, and I will be there. I'm the only person to take care about all these things. So
Mhm.
it's my own. So you can reach out me and you can talk to me directly, for anything.
Okay. And would you give us support after the training is completed? Suppose if we got stuck somewhere while working.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also going to have a community also, so that we
Mm,
can share the knowledge across. And if
mm,
I grow you, definitely you grow me. So it's
mhm,
vice versa. Definitely we're going to work together
mm,
continuously.
mm. And you talked about the repository point. Are you
Mhm.
also going to cover the deployment activities?
Yes, we are going to see.
Okay. For ADF and Databricks both.
Yes, both I'm going to take.
Okay.
And
And can you please?
orchestration also from the data factory as well as with the Databricks also. We are going to see how we can do orchestration.
Okay. And you mentioned about SQL Server
Mm-hmm.
to install SQL Server or SSMS in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to use the cloud one also, or?
Yes, we're also going to use the cloud
Mm,
because if you have an on-prem source systems for your business,
mm.
then we need to bring the data from on-prem as well. So I'm
Okay.
taking
Okay.
on-prem. But
Okay.
when I'm going to take it to the SQL, mostly I'm going to take a on-prem SQL to reduce the cost. So while
Mm.
practicing, because we have to spend our own
Yes.
money.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to reduce our cost. For that reason, I'll go here and there so we can reduce
Okay.
it.
Okay. And would you give a little bit of overview on the difference between SQL Server and Synapse? Uh, because in my organization, we are not basically using SQL
Okay.
Server, but we are mostly using Synapse. So,
Okay. So let me give like we have a SQL server in general that is there in the cloud. And we have a ADF. Of course, it is also in the cloud and Azure Databricks and Azure Data Lake Storage Center.
mhm,
So all these services are cloud services, but they are individual services.
mhm,
And this SQL server is for mostly for OLTP. Okay.
mhm,
And we
mhm.
can also use for data warehouse, but when you have a less volume of data.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why signups came into picture is that time Microsoft understood why we're having separate services. Even for data warehouse, Microsoft was having Azure data warehouse previously. Before signups, there was Azure data warehouse. Okay, so they combine all together like Azure data warehouse and ADF and ADB and ADLS.
Mm-hmm.
All together, they brought into one umbrella and they named it as a signups.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can have a Spark cluster here. Spark pool will be there, and Spark SQL something is there. Spark naming standard, Spark SQL pool, in order to access the signups data warehouse. Okay, so there is a lot of difference. But here, if you have a database, here we are going to use the signup SQL. There is a slight difference you can feel while creating a tables or external tables. Okay, so the same thing they brought into the fabric now. So this, since it was failed in the market because the cost is very huge. Run and maintenance of the cost is very huge to run the Spark pool or Spark SQLs. So because of that reason, to reduce the cost and to reduce many things, they brought Microsoft Fabric as a what I mean to say, like software as a service. Okay, so the purpose of this is to keep your massive volume of data here. But this one is for very less volume of data when you compare with this, because this is a data warehouse and this is a normal database. You can specify the storage also, how much storage you require. And the compute will be little different here. Here we are going to use the cluster. Here is no cluster.
Okay. So actually, that's why I asked. We are
Mhm.
using Synapse system. The reason behind that is we have a huge volume of data. We have millions and billions of records
Okay,
we
got
are
it.
working with. So once I go through this course and complete this course, I will also ask to work on those things only.
Okay,
So
got
when
it.
I will work on millions of or billions of records, so that's why I was asking if you can give me an overview how to work on it, because
Yeah,
SQL Server is kind of a row by row processing and
yes,
Synapse is kind of a batch processing
yes,
while
yes,
ingestion. So
yes.
that's why.
Yeah, parallel processing will be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel like you are writing a select statement, but that is internal processing only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if you know SQL, you can write, you can work here or you can work here also.
Okay. And would you cover batch and API source also while on the data ingestion process?
We are going to say the batch processing, but
Mm-hmm.
batch processing only we are going to say as part of our regular sessions. But I have a plan to talk about the Spark streaming.
API also.
Spark streaming, what is that
Yeah.
API? What API you're saying?
API source
Yeah,
while
API
the
source, API source, I'm going to take it.
okay, okay,
For data
okay,
factory, I'm going to take it.
okay. And Spark is streaming also. Is streaming
Yeah, I have a plan for adding that.
okay. So that is a streaming analytics or for the ingestion.
Structured streaming from the
Okay,
Spark, not from
okay,
the data. Not from the Microsoft service. Microsoft is also having their own service, but people used to go for Spark if they have a streaming data. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, hi, Bhaskar, Pawan here. Also, I
Hi,
have a
Pawan.
question. See, when you talk about Databricks, right? Will
Mhm.
you be able to cover the Unity catalog also?
Yeah,
Because you,
exactly. The current market is using completely Unity catalog, guys. So the older traditional approach was completed because we can provide the granular level of security. We can deep down and we can control the objects. So we are going to see that is very important. So when I said Databricks, definitely you're going to have a Unity catalog.
the other thing, right? See, most of our right are working on AWS, right? See,
Mhm.
so when in the real time, right? When you give this kind of practical, right? Do we need to have that AWS? Uh,
No,
institution as
when we are working with Azure extensively, there is no more discussion about any other cloud platforms. But Databricks, if you work with Azure, it's 100% the same as when you go for GCP or AWS, Databricks point of view.
Because even I work as DevOps, right? So we set up Databricks, So
Okay.
most of it is on AWS only, right? So
Hello, sir. Sorry for the interruption. Just now I joined the class. Can I get any video for this class?
Yeah. You're going to get it. Just join. Let me share one meeting in the chat. So there is a WhatsApp group. So just join it so that you can get a recording. Let me share. So join with that group, you will get a recording of the session. Yeah. Any question, anyone?
And written notes also you will provide.
Can you repeat again?
Only video, yeah, written notes also you will provide.
Yeah. Note will be there. Okay, so note will be there in the form of PDF, and sample data sets will be provided for practicing. Okay, so I'm here for you. Whatever I'm going to show you, that will be with you.
Thank you.
Sir, people who are from non-IT, after the completion of this training, they are able to survive in the real time, sir.
100% is. 100% is they can survive. And two projects I'm going to cover. With Data Factory, it is like a mini project you can fail. But when it comes to the Databricks, I'm going to combine both together, Data Factory and Databricks. So that will be major project. So we are going to spend 20 hours with that. So two projects I'm going to cover.
And you will apply gold, silver, bronze.
Exactly. In the second project, the major project only is going to have a completely with gold, silver, bronze, silver, gold layers.
Yes.
Oscar, I'm Ram here. So usually most of the companies, the first they'll conduct the coding interview, right? So I mean, whatever you discuss, the SQL and the Python scenarios, will that be enough, or do we need to practice more outside of?
No, that is more enough. I'm going to make you much more perfect, and we can also go for lead code or different kind of websites to make little more. But that is much more enough. So I'm going to discuss about even interview questions also. So if you can write, I'll share that interview questions based on the company wise. So if you can try yourself. So simple one thumb rule I'll say, guys. When there is one task, try to do it in SQL, try to do it in Data Factory, do it with PySpark and Fabric. In all the way, if you do it, I'm sure you can survive easily. Okay, you got my point, right? So in that way, I'm going to explain.
Sure, thanks.
100% is you can justify real-time interviews, guys. It's completely real-time processing, real-time job-oriented training. You feel that. Okay, so it's not just mark my word. I'm sure you can talk to me if I'm not up to the real-time market. So that I can give a guarantee.
Sir, I don't have any any coding language knowledge, sir. So is I'm going to survive in this course, sir?
Not required anything. I'm going to take you through everything. Okay, so you don't need to learn anything from outside. You don't need any prior knowledge at this point of time. If you're already having, that is fine. If you don't have it, I'm here to take care about it, but you have to spend more and more time when you compare with others. Let's say if the working professional is spending 3 hours, and if you're not having this kind of skill set, you have to add at least 1 or 2 hours. That means 4 to 5 hours you have to spend.
Yeah, for this course, what are the requirements from us, sir?
So that's what I'm saying. No requirement. You just have a one better laptop and internet. So that is more enough. I'm going to you just follow with me. What I'm going to take, just follow with me on daily basis.
How many? What is the time duration for this course, sir?
You joined late, right? So The combination, we have a different services. I'll share this recording, go through that, and once you complete that, just make a call to me. I'll explain.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Anyone else, guys? Any question?
Bhaskar, you shared few list, prerequisite list, tools list.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can share those again, might be on the chat window,
Yeah.
because
I'll share
otherwise
it.
we need to go through it the whole video. So better if you can share those.
And yeah,
At,
definitely, I'm also going to I'm going to set up as part of the session, and will create a one documentation also. So I have
Mhm.
already for few of them I have a documentation, and for few of them Oracle is not yet included in the previous batches. Now I'm planning to include Oracle also as part of training. I mean, for data engineering, I wanted to use this Oracle system also. So some people will use extensively as a source systems for their businesses.
Okay.
And we are going to say setting up installation in the live.
Just like I do have SSMS and those
Yeah.
few things over there,
Okay.
my system.
Yeah. If it is
So,
available, that's fine. But I'll
but
give a list. What list we required? I'll keep in.
yeah.
I said one link, right? To just join with community. So once you join, then you'll get it. Right after this meeting, I'll give the list of required tools.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? So this is completely interactive, guys. Okay. So you can ask a question. We're all here to learn. I may learn from something from you also, and you also going to learn from me. So we'll grow together, and we'll support together. Okay. So fee structure. Okay. So you can ping me in the chat. So fees, I can say directly, that's not a problem. 20K, guys. And if you can register today, you will get a 10% of discount. You can just ping me. My number is I'm just keeping in the chat. Most of you are already there, because I'm only dealing everything. 9848 So this is my number, and you can reach out me for payment details. So if you can register today, you're going to get 10% as discount. Okay. Okay, then shall we start? And from Monday, we are going to start at 8 a.m. Thank you for joining. Can you please ping me in WhatsApp? I'll tell you how to register it. Thank you for joining.